Hey everyone, Dr. Frunkey here with a knife consult on the Hinderer knives MP-1. That stands for the Modular Platform 1. This knife was introduced in 2016 along with the Hinderer Modular Backspacer system as a knife designed for a smaller, more EDC-friendly size that also could be customized in the various ways that Hinderer knives can be customized. And so let's go ahead and go into some overall specs on this guy. Up front, you've got a cutting edge of about 3.25 inches. Back to the handle scales, you're looking at about 3.5 and about 3 3/4 back to the pivot. The overall handle length is about 4.5 inches with about 4 inches of usable grip area, maybe about 3.5 where your actual fingers tuck in right there. The overall width is coming in at 0.52 inches, and the blade stock is 0.16 inches, or 160 thousandths. So it's a beefy knife, and it's a small EDC knife. Let's go ahead and bring out a couple of other things for size comparison. Our standard is always the Paramilitary 2. Much bigger the Paramilitary than this knife. Maybe something in a similar size category is going to be your Mannix 2. Very, very similar overall profiles on those knives. Let's bring out another Hinderer. This is the ZT-0392. This is based on the Eclipse model. It's also the same size as the XM-18. So here you can see the size difference between those two models. I'll go ahead and bring out another couple of sort of tactical knives. Here's a Jake Hoback Quieback. Very, very aggressive looking knife right there. Here's a Michael Zeba S2 double tap. Very similar overall profile. More blade for the handle on that one. Here's a Custom Knife Factory and Gavco spinner collaboration right there. That's a neat one. Let's see, what else do we have? I've got a Kaiser Gemini. This is a smaller knife too. 3.25 inch blade on that one right there. And just because I want to right now, I'm going to bring out the Gareth Bull Shamwari. Also, that's about a 3.25 inch cutting length on that one as well, but differently designed totally. So that is a nice overall size. Definitely a bit on the heavy side for that, but that's to be expected of all Hinderers. This one comes in right at 5.48 ounces in its current spec. This has the G10 scale on the front, so probably the standard all-titanium model is a bit heavier than that. So let's go ahead and break this knife down anatomically so we can see what we're working with. Again, the 3.25 inches of cutting length are all belly on this S35VN steel blade. It's done in my favorite Hinderer finish, and that is their mirror stonewash or satin stonewash, what have you. It's my favorite user finish on there. It doesn't show a lot of wear. It's easy to clean, and it glides through material very nicely because it's so smooth and everything. The blade came relatively sharp at 0.16 blade stock. You're going to basically, like other Hinderers, it's going to slice okay through things like paper and cardboard, but you're going to have trouble cutting apples with it and doing some food prep. But this is, as all Hinderers are, designed for emergency responders and sort of heavy-duty, high-drag, high-speed, low-drag operations, you know what I mean? That's how they market these things, and it will fulfill that duty. It's quite strong, the blade stock is tough, and the tip is reinforced. That Wharncliffe-style tip is definitely reinforced and nice and strong. You could penetrate with that nice and confidently and definitely even use it as a pry tool if you really needed to. So strong in that regard. It does have some thumb studs that stay well out of the way, and it does allow you to open the knife via either a thumb flick, a spidey flick if I can do it right, or the flipper tab. So let's go ahead and move back and talk about the action and the pivot and everything. So it runs on the standard Teflon washers that we've come to know and hate from Hinderer knives. We all ask them to change it, and they don't, but they're going to keep doing what they're going to do. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I guess it works just fine. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the absolute worst thing about this knife, and that is the fourth deployment method. And so number 1 is the flipper. Number 2 is the thumb stud. Number 3 is the spider flick. And the other one is just a very gentle shake. Yeah, that's right. A little bit of a wrist movement, and this guy is going to open. The detent on this knife is so unbelievably weak that it just flies out of the handle. I've never had a knife come out this easily, and I have had some pretty terrible knives. But no, this one is the easiest to overcome the detent, and for that reason, I never carried this knife. I legitimately never put this in my pocket. I certainly never put this in the waistband, because if I could just have this so easily come open like that, some important things are going to get cut, and I'm not really interested in having that happening. Thanks. That is the worst thing about this knife. I have really never experienced a knife with such weak detent. When I pass this off to my friends, every single one of them opens it a bit like this, and they're kind of like jiggling it to open it and everything. I find that this is they've compromised the strength of the detent in order to accommodate the thumb flick and things like that, but I just think that that could have been done so much better. The person that I borrowed this from, that I'm loaning this from, he goes by @Mars_TAC, MARZ_TAC on Instagram. Super nice guy for sending these along. I appreciate that very much. Just as a side note, he and his family are from Puerto Rico, and they were definitely affected by the recent hurricanes, so definitely my thoughts go out to them, and I hope all is well with him and his family. But thanks to him for sending this one along for review. This will be headed back to the ranch to get some fixing and to see if that detent can be changed in any meaningful way. Moving back to the handles, we have some nicely milled slabs of titanium. The standard models come with all titanium. This one has a G10 front scale. That's pretty nicely done. There's a lot of grip to it. It's just a bit plain in my opinion. I'm not a huge fan of the way that this is milled. It's just sort of a random pattern. It's good functionally. You do get some good grip on it, and it's comfortable in the hand, but it's just kind of a bit uninspired to me. Moving back, you've got the clip, which I think is one of the best things on any Hinderer. It's got one of the most functional clips in the industry. I love the way that you can pull it out by the two screws right here, and it's got exactly the right amount of spring. So I have nothing negative to say about that. And of course, you have the customizing options of switching out these different these tabs, these clips, the lock bar stabilizer, and of course the modular backspacer system and all the handle screws and stuff. So that's always really nice to know. So how does this thing EDC? It carries pretty well. I said I didn't carry it outside of the house, and that's the truth. But it does get in the pocket well. It's slim in overall profile, and it's not going to be obtrusive. Again, I just can't recommend it because it's so easy to deploy that blade. It's not safe. It's just not safe. So I can't recommend that at all. The weight is okay for me. I don't really have anything to complain about that. It's a bit heavy for a 3.25-inch blade. There are a lot of lighter options out there. And then we got to talk about the price point on this guy. The price on this guy is $450. For $450, I need to be getting a perfect knife. I can get an XM-18 in an amazing spec for $425. I just see no reason to recommend this knife to anyone. This may be a unique situation. I do know that Hinderer has a long story of having overly weak detents, but this one is just absurd. So I just can't recommend this knife. Why don't you guys tell me down below if you've had better experiences with MP-1s? Is your detent good and snappy? I just can't recommend this knife to anybody. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. I hope it's been somewhat informative about the Hinderer MP-1. I really think that this knife was created only as a marketing tool so that it's another place where people can put their steel flame clips and their Hinderer lock bar inserts and all their inserts here and their lock bar stabilizers and their modular backspacers. It's just another thing. It feels kind of like an afterthought compared to the XM series. It's just not quite as nice, and I'm just not enthusiastic about it. So enough about that, guys. Click like and subscribe to my channel here. Head over to Instagram and check me out at Dr. Frunkey. Thank you to Mars_TAC for sending this guy along. And as always, guys, this is Dr. Frunkey saying take care.